Am I the asshole for spending my daughter's tuition money? Our daughter is 20 female and she recently decided to go back to college after taking a year off. She dropped out of college a few months saying it wasn't for her. We adamantly advised against it, but she ended up moving in with her boyfriend and started working in his family's restaurant business. There was still a little north of $30,000 set aside in the account I set aside for her tuition money. My wife and I had been wanting to remodel our kitchen for a while, so decided to go ahead with that money. Well, now my daughter has decided to go back to college because it didn't work out with her boyfriend and she didn't like any of the jobs she had following that. She was shocked that we had used her college money towards the house even though we had this conversation before she left. She asked if she could have access to her college tuition account before she moved in with her boyfriend, to which we explicitly said no and said that was saved for her tuition only and nothing else, and that if she left we'd use it for something else. She said she thought we were bluffing and didn't actually mean it, and that we need to help her pay for college since we are still paying for her younger brother's yearly tuition. I told her she needs to work part-time and go to a cheaper place like community college rather than a state school. She's been angry over this and ignoring her mother's phone calls. Her mother has said maybe we can still help her out financially, but we're nearing our retirement age and a little behind our retirement goals, so I don't want to take away from our savings just because my daughter made some bad choices. I feel like I have given her good alternatives and even offered to let her stay at our house free of rent so she can just focus on paying for college. Am I the asshole? This situation is harsh on your daughter, but not the asshole. She made a decision to drop out, and with that came you telling her that you'd use the remaining college fund money for something else. I also presume that at the time of her dropping out, she presented her decision as permanent since she said that college wasn't for her, meaning that you don't know how long she would have taken to go back to college if she went back at all. But I thought you were bluffing, is a feeble response. You don't get to use that line when you're making a life-changing decision and are given conditions by the people financing you. She just learned a very expensive lesson. She tried to fuck around and she found out. I mean, as a parent myself, this is a painful thing to say. But not the asshole original poster. So many posts in this sub fall under that they fucked around, and they found out category, not the asshole original poster. You spent all $30,000 on kitchen remodel? That's not retirement goals and she only took a year off. You spent all of it already? I don't know. I actually think you are the asshole for not having the foresight or consideration that she might regret the boyfriend thing and spending the money that quickly. A lot of kids make mistakes during college, especially because it was just a year off. You didn't need to jump to use that money. I get she made the choice and the mistake over a boy, but you could have been a safety net for her. Parents are supposed to account for the fact that kids make stupid mistakes, choices. You took it as an opportunity to make sure she can't bounce back quickly over something cosmetic, superficial, and you did it really quickly. Which is kind of gross. $30,000 is modest for a kitchen remodel in the US. The average is over $50,000. My dad funded my first year of college. When I didn't go back immediately, there was no expectation that he would fund any future educational pursuits. I went back, started with community college because it was much cheaper, then transferred to a state school for the 4-year degree. I got scholarships, grants, financial aid, and loans. I worked while going to school. There are many of us who did the same thing. Daughter can do it. It's character building, winking face. Also, when you are in charge of your college education, you take it much more seriously. I can't find that the average kitchen remodel in the US is over $50,000 anywhere. I do find multiple sites saying that the national average is $20,000. That's an aside though. It's more that they spent all the money they saved so quickly after she made a dumb mistake without giving her any time. If you want to give your kid one strike you're out once they turn 18 years old, fine. I think it's an asshole move. Your personal anecdote doesn't really mean much. ETA. How much it costs to remodel a kitchen is a digression from the main point on whether they should have used those funds to begin with or allowed their daughter a year before spending the money they saved for her education. Not giving her any time? They warned her of the consequence and she didn't take it seriously. That's an expensive lesson, but a lesson nonetheless. Yes. And it's also their money to spend on whatever they want. It's not like the daughter did anything to earn it. It was something they were kind enough to do that other kids aren't lucky enough to get. Yes. You are the asshole. You saved for your daughter's education for 18 years yet you didn't hesitate to put the money to other uses the moment she diverted from a traditional education path. If you truly meant the money for her education, you could have held it for her in case she returned to school in the future. Often people who don't complete a 4-year degree in one go still return to finish their education later or pursue trade school. It is your money. Your daughter made a poor decision leaving school and you did warn her the money would go to other uses. You are not technically wrong and your daughter is facing the consequences of her decisions. That said, people make mistakes though, especially when they are young, and you've chosen for this to be a much bigger mistake for your daughter than it had to be. It was your right to do with the money as you saw fit and to remodel the kitchen, but it was not a compassionate decision as a parent. I kind of agree with you. She's only 20. I think they should have given her a little more time to decide to go back to school before they spent her college money. They had the right to spend it, of course, but if the money was earmarked for the daughter's education, I think they should have had a little more patience with her. She didn't just quit school. She quit school, moved out of her parents' house, moved in with her boyfriend and started working in the boyfriend's family business. Her parents adamantly asked her to reconsider dropping out of school, but she wouldn't. They then told her the money would no longer be there, then, for school for her. She was gone for a full year. How much longer were they supposed to wait? Until when? What should the cutoff have been? When she was 25? 35? 45? What would be the determining factor in how long they should wait? Here's the deal though. If she has stayed in school just to keep the money, she wouldn't have been internally motivated to do well. Now she took a gap year, gained some real-world perspective, and now wants to go to college and really work at it. Her parents should be delighted she's now going to get a better education because she's going to be focused and trying to get the most out of it. Taking a year off school isn't always a stupid decision. Sometimes it's what a kid needs, and more parents should be open to it. Instead, this girl is getting punished for knowing herself well enough to know she wasn't at school for the right reasons before. How much shitty, drunken behavior would be avoided if kids didn't go to college because their parents were pushing them to, when they didn't have that internal motivation and desire yet? College shouldn't be a default thing anyone does. It's attitudes like original posters that's turned it into glorified high school for the middle and upper middle classes. I think it would have been one thing if she presented it as a gap year. But she didn't. She said college wasn't for her. Yeah, but early 20s aren't the time where you actually know the future. I too dropped out of college, assuming that's university, and thought I would never go back. I got a job I thought would be my dream job and realized it really wasn't. So now I'm back at uni and have gotten much further than I did the first time, in an adjacent field. I have the motivation now, by knowing the type of jobs I can get without a degree, to get a degree. I'm just very lucky that I'm in a country where education is free and I have very nice parents that supports me, even if I didn't actually think I would go back to university at one point. Behind on retirement goals, but spent $30K on remodeling? I dunno, man. That kitchen remodel will most likely increase the value of the house by more than 30 kelvins anyway. Plus, being a little behind on retirement doesn't mean they have to spend the rest of their life in an old, crappy kitchen lol. Which would become profit if they sold. So they're investing the fund instead? No one should have to spend their life with a non-functional kitchen, for sure, lol. Just coming at this from the perspective of never ever having 30K. You or the asshole pulled the trigger pretty quick on spending that tuition money. And taking a year off school constitutes making a bad choice? Yikes. But the daughter didn't say she was taking a break, she stated college was not for her. Which heavily implies that she didn't have any intention to go back after any period of time. But she's fucking 20, she was just giving the reins to her life and told this is what she needed to do, and backed off. They wasted no time in taking the money that they told their daughter was hers and spending it on something else without even telling her. The shifty part about this is the haste they took in spending that money, not communicating with their daughter, and the only help they're offering now all involve them having control over her life again. It just comes off as they are punishing her for being young and not immediately having it all together. What if it had been a scholarship that she'd turned down? Should the consequences of that decision also not reach her? Would the selection committee hold the scholarship indefinitely in case she changed her mind and decided to accept it? If they didn't, would that be considered a punishment? Or a natural consequence? I think this is the kind of decision that has the potential to damage original poster's relationship with his child for a long time. Regardless of what we feel he had the right to do, I think this was a poor choice. Not the asshole. That was a gift and she didn't use it lol, and her way of responding to the situation just shows how ungrateful she is. She should be grateful that they spent the money they said would only go towards her tuition on a brand new kitchen, lol. It's not as if they spent it on a medical bill out of necessity. The daughter shouldn't be shamed for being ungrateful, after her parents used a tuition fund for quality of life improvements. Ultimately, the original poster and his wife were entitled to use it how they please, but it isn't unreasonable to expect that their daughter wouldn't just kiss their feet at the gesture. As many said, she learned that there are consequences to her actions, but it seems like original poster isn't being held to the same standard. It is not what they said. They said if we will spend it on you, it will be only education. You will not get money for any other purposes. However, if not your education, we will spend it on ourselves. Go and read the post. She knew that they spent it and she was okay with it. No assholes here. Not the asshole. You laid out what would happen, and it happened. I understand her sadness over it, but I also don't think it's insane to have her complete her associates at a community college, then maybe revisit the matter? Might turn out college just isn't the right fit for her, and a trade school or just entering the workforce suits her better. Better to find out paying community college rates. I think this goes beyond sadness. Maybe she will gain some perspective on this if she lands on her feet or decides to accept the help original poster is offering her, but if she decides to go it alone, this could be the end of their relationship for now. He isn't an asshole for doing it, but I would say it wasn't a wise decision even if it was one he was entitled to make. You are the asshole. 20-year-olds need time, guidance, and patience. If you saved the money for her tuition, you should have given her a grace period of at least a year to make sure she really wasn't going back. More importantly, $30K for a kitchen remodeling is insane. Sounds to me you were looking for an excuse to use this money on yourselves and were probably secretly thrilled she handed you one with a brief, normal, youthful moment of confusion. Everything else aside, $30,000 is actually not that crazy for a full kitchen remodel, especially if that includes new appliances. We didn't get anywhere near top-of-the-line stuff, solid middle-of-the-road stainless steel, and still spent $7,500 on a 4-piece appliance suite: range, refrigerator, dishwasher, microwave. Our cabinets were about $12,000, with a substantial discount because my father was our kitchen designer. Our granite countertops were about $5,000, which was at cost, again, thanks, Dad. Tile was about $2,500 for the floor and backsplash, and labor was about $10,000. We moved a half wall and relocated the sink in addition to gutting and redoing everything else. And those were pre-pandemic prices. Our kitchen is about 12 feet square. We could have gone with cheaper stuff and saved a little, but your kitchen is a place that you're in every single day, it might as well be exactly what you want. I was thinking that $30,000 isn't all that much for a renovation. I did my kitchen about 6 years ago. My kitchen is 11 by 13-ish, and it was more than $30,000. My costs were similar to yours, but my labor was more because it included contractors, plumbers, electricians, all new electric, floor guys, and painters, and where I live, none of them is cheap. I did my halls as well, because if you're tearing up your house, you might as well get it all buffed out at the same time, so you don't have to revisit the construction misery anytime soon. We are redoing our bathroom and it is $20,000. We got a lot of quotes and that was the cheapest. 10 years ago we got the bathroom in our old house done for half the price. Inflation is real. If money is so tight for you that you can't help her because you're behind on your retirement, why did you spend 30 grand on a kitchen remodel? Was a new kitchen worth more than investing in your daughter's future, and or your daughter's trust and esteem in you? Agreed with others saying that 19-year-olds make mistakes and it's very likely that they don't know what they're doing yet. Some do, but some need more time to figure it out. You gave your kid no grace here. She learned a harsh lesson in this, but she also learned a harsh lesson about her parents too. I would not be surprised if this worsens the relationship. For the above reasons, you are the asshole. It isn't about the retirement, it's about punishing her for non-compliance. Which is an asshole move. She's 20 and allowed to have doubts and second-guess decisions that will forever alter her life. It's difficult, and the parents made it far more difficult by putting this pressure on her. A little patience and understanding and this whole situation was avoidable. You are the asshole. It's consistently insane to me that people will claim to be loving parents and then pull this kind of bullshit. You understand how young 20 and under really is. Most people don't have life figured out, and in a time where degrees more and more aren't a guarantee of a good life anyways, it's pretty understandable for someone young and not sure of who they are yet to be tempted by relationships or seeming good opportunities. People can whinge all they want that she's an adult, but it's insane to expect someone to magically have everything figured out and to be making amazing decisions at 18 to 19. Their brains aren't fully developed, they're often on their own for the first time. Have some grace. Hell, I'm 28, and feel like I only really stopped being a child in the past few years. It takes time to learn how to navigate the adult world of jobs and relationships and opportunities, etc. How selfish do you have to be to see what you, as a sincerely grown adult, can recognize as a likely very temporary poor decision, and immediately spend $30K on a kitchen? How little do you care for your daughter? How do you even spend that much on a kitchen? You are the asshole 100%. Act like a parent and help your daughter. She didn't suddenly stop being yours the second she hit 18. That's my thing. 19 as a baby, you wouldn't put full esteem in other major life choices. If a 19-year-old says, I'm gonna get married to my boyfriend, we're engaged, look, people either think they'll get divorced within 5 years or they don't even get married. Why is this any different? You don't trust teenagers with major life decisions like that. A lot of people are saying, not the asshole, BC its original poster's money, but being realistic, this just feels impulsive, because this was not the intended purpose of those funds, and reckless. They essentially took financial advice from a teenager. How was a 19-year-old taken with 100% without a shadow of a doubt seriousness on this? Assuming your daughter is still young and in her 20s and didn't spend 5+ years not in school, I'm gonna say you are the asshole. At that age she's still figuring things out, and it's reasonable to think she may change her mind and go back to school. It's not like she's 35 and asking you to finance her education after many years out of school. The reason you would need to take away from your savings in the first place is because you blew the money you put away for her. Also, to suggest your child just go to community college is unfair. Reality is, for many career paths she needs a BA at minimum, and even at a state school the costs will add up even if she's not paying rent. Greater than also, to suggest your child just go to community college is unfair. No, it's a quality suggestion. As long as you go to a reputable community college, and not Uncle Bob's Bait Shack and community college, the credits will transfer and you save thousands on gen ed and can take a few random classes you enjoy to see if there's something you want to make a career from. Crapping on community colleges like this suggests you've lived a privileged life, and comes across as a bit classist. Agreed. I started at community college because it was so much cheaper, then transferred to a 4-year college. I saved so much money doing that and getting the Jess out of the way. Not the asshole, I guess, since it is your money and you did warn her. I would not have touched it so soon. She's only 20 now, let alone how old she was when dropping out. Her brain isn't done developing. You have to expect her to make stupid mistakes. Teens evolve to do so. But, your money, not hers, so, yeah. In other circumstances I'd probably lean not the asshole, but the tone of your post sounds very angry and vindictive. It seems like spending that money was as much about revenge and anger over your daughter's decision to drop out and live with her boyfriend as it was about anything else. Because that's how it reads, to me, and because that attitude is small and childish, I'm going to say you are the asshole. In a vacuum and without the emotions, it's very possible for your actions to have been reasonable. Original poster's comments give that impression too. Especially the, I'm not in the parenting mood lol, one. If you are financing your son's college, but not your daughter's tuition, definitely you are the asshole. Many kids take a gap year and then come back to school. This is what your daughter did. Except she didn't say she was taking a gap year. She explicitly said she was dropping out. She's 21, let her make a, comparatively tiny, mistake. She wasn't 21. She was 19. Still a kid. You are the asshole, absolutely. Could have left the money in the account for a few years. Didn't need to blow it on remodeling a kitchen the second your daughter moved out. Sometimes kids take time off from college. My daughter did. It doesn't mean they'll never go back if they take a break, especially during a pandemic. Asshole and cheapskate. You are the asshole. I'm shocked at how many people say it's fine to immediately spend your child's entire college fund if they don't follow your demand. It would have been a waste for her to aimlessly take college classes. She needed the life experience to give her direction. No matter how much you insisted, she wasn't in the right place to fulfill your demand. It's like saying, jump, to someone with a broken leg. And your intentions were not good no matter how you spin in. You either intended to manipulate your child into doing what you wanted without respect for her autonomy, or you care more about your kitchen than your daughter. Either way, it doesn't reflect well on you at all for trying to teach her a lesson, and last, the claim of financial hardship makes no sense either. What were you going to do about your kitchen if she went to college straight through? Either the kitchen remodel was a luxury or it was a necessity, and you'd have to find the way to make that money available another way at some point. Do whatever that was and give that money to her. It's not ethical to promise something for years and then one day pull the rug out from under her feet by adding new conditions. Yes, legally, technically it's your money, but legally and technically she doesn't ever have maintained contact with you. I probably wouldn't, because who knows when the next thing is yanked away. Better to stand on your own 2 feet in the long run. I agree, this was clearly about control for original poster, not about getting his daughter an education. When she wouldn't be controlled, he immediately spent the money out of spite. Had it been some kind of emergency or urgent thing, that would have been understandable, but a kitchen couldn't wait another year or 2. I don't think so. You are the asshole. You screwed your daughter over and don't seem too concerned about her. Your wife seems like she's the only who gives a damn and wants to help her. You don't seem to give a shish tea what happens to her at all. You know you can't pay for community college with a part-time job, let alone a bachelor's. Offer to let her move back in for most parents would be considered the minimum, even for some of the negligent parents featured on this forum. But who cares about your daughter? I mean, obviously not you. And when your wife is sad because her baby won't talk to her, just show her that beautiful kitchen and say, that backsplash is totally worth our child's financial security. If your daughter comes over for the holidays, be sure give her the tour and explain how the countertops are better investment than her future. I'm sure she'll agree, as she's working her ass off to afford one community college course. Good parents understand young adults make dumb mistakes and need grace and guidance to correct those mistakes. Instead you, Father of the Year, took advantage of the first opportunity to profit off her mistake. You definitely taught her a lesson. You can't count on family, and given the chance dad will screw you over without remorse or hesitation. But he'll magnanimously offer you the bare minimum while patting himself on the back. I hope for her sake you make your retirement goals. I'd hate to see how else you can F her over. He'd better make his retirement goals. She's not gonna take care of him. If you're behind on your retirement goals, why did you spend $30K on remodeling your kitchen? I mean, it's your money, but what you're saying is a little confusing. I'm going to say light you are the asshole, but only because you really gave her no breathing room to try collage again. Your daughter dropped out and then within a year you spent all of the money you had put aside for her. I think it would have been better to at least give her a 5-year window. She's only 20 and sometimes it takes time to figure out your education. Whether you think you're right or wrong, be prepared for the consequences. Just like others are saying your daughter made her choice, so have you. Don't be surprised if she cuts contact.